Hello, girls and boys and others. How are we all doing today? Are we doing well?
You talking to us or chat?
I mean, I suppose if either of those options or any of those options apply to you, then I'm talking to you as well. You can fall into the category of girls or boys or others.
Well, I was doing okay. Recently, it got worse after a discussion with my friend Scott. I
It
feel
tracks.
I feel actually when I was looking at a map of Aurora that I've not been properly accredited. I see Dale Lands, Silencio, but I don't see anything called me. Um,
Oh yeah, no, I'll have an. You know what? Honestly, there's a town that the party for Regicide is visiting right now called Momley. That's definitely how you come off. Very Momley.
but it's not promoting my Twitch channel, which
What Twitch
is an
channel?
which is an important part of my revenue, as you know. Well, I stream about as much as like most other Twitch streamers, right? My
But it's
schedule's about
consistently.
that.
Excuse me, Josh is in chat and he's fucking on fire.
actually,
Yeah,
actually, Josh, I nearly said Josh has held down a job for a long time, so he understands that like
that's right. He was in the military. He's been brainwashed into making sure that he has a good regiment. That's right.
exactly,
That's right.
exactly.
That's right. I mean,
He
he was
knows.
in the Air Force, so but they have planes, so I guess that makes them important.
Yeah, planes aren't important.
I mean, honestly, they have drones. It's really what it comes down to. So,
Imagine that a drone just like a tiny little commercial drone, like whirring really really high power, like maximum power, like an atom bomb underneath it, like that's America, by the way.
you talk about heading for Barrington Palace, or whatever you guys call it.
Barrington Palace.
I don't know.
Excuse me.
Berkshire's. Where does the Queen live?
So one, Barrington is actually a place in the UK. Two,
It's a place in Rhode Island too.
Buckingham Palace.
Buckingham. There you go. I know some obnoxiously too many syllable name.
Too many syllable.
Yeah, you could just call it the
Buckingham,
Palace, Buckingham.
Massachusetts.
One's a Native American
Buckingham.
word. Excuse me. One is paying homage to the people that were slaughtered.
Okay, okay, good. I'm glad
I was like, this is
you're
going
like,
back.
one's paying homage, and I was like, and then you're like to the people as well, and I was like,
It's pretty rough, actually. So there's like a lot in this area. There's a lot of schools and towns, and it's like for instance, Wumsutta is like a very big name in like southern Mass because that was the name
yeah,
of a
you
chief.
mentioned a language in chat. You said Ebonics.
Oh, that's just slang term for slang language. More or less like I'm gonna ask you a question. Like as opposed to I'm going to ask you a question.
I wondered what the because it sounds a bit questionable.
I mean, I don't know. It's a slang term for slang. So, or you could just say slang. So, but the joke, that's why it was a joke. It was like the hardest one to understand, you know?
Fair.
Either
I'd
way.
never heard the term before, so I was like, huh.
Like it's bad. It's more or less really, really poorly spoken English.
It's like slang.
Yeah, it's like British.
It's
So,
like slang. That other word we have for it.
yeah, yeah, but there's many types of slang.
Anyway, I derailed, Scott. Good luck with your doors, my friend. I believe in you.
No, there's only one door left. So when you finally finished all of this, which again took hours for you to go down there and do that, when you come upstairs, one of the things that you see that the kind of they come up and see what's going on with what's his name, Vatku, who's in the wall. It's one of those things where he's not looking good. He's not looking good at all. And it's like they've been trying to chip away at the door, but even at the wall, like around where his leg is. But even there, like they don't have perfect accuracy. They don't have the correct tools for it. They're trying to get like whatever they can to act as like a chisel and hammer away at it. But they've even injured his leg some to the point, and it's literally gotten to the point where when you go up there, because two has not been consistently with you, he's kind of gone up and down or whatever as you were handling other things. He'll come up to you and talk, and he'll be like, "Yeah, I don't know. It's looking pretty fucking rough right now. I'll tell you, I don't think we're going to be able to save that leg. I think we're going to have to chop it off. On the bright side, if we chop off the leg, we get a hole to work with, and we could probably open up the wall a little bit easier. So, good with the bad, I suppose."
You won't have to chop it off. It's fine. Just once you get it out, perform a fasciotomy. Come on, Jake. You can do it.
I don't know what that is.
I'll teach you. It's fine. Just call me up. He'll talk you through it step by step.
Neil takes off his sweater. He's wearing a t-shirt, rolls up the sleeves to show off his toothpicks. It's like, look at this. I can lift an entire 12 pack
aren't actually
of
rolled
soda.
Up. I went climbing it. So I go climbing every single week. But because I wasn't very well.
So when you were dealing with... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Go, Jake. Your opinion on the matter.
I'll look at Vaku and be like, do you need your leg?
So you go over to Vaku and to because it's one of those things where you can get the impression that they probably haven't directly told Vaku yet.
Vaku's a cleric, isn't he?
Vaku is a cleric, yes.
I'm gonna walk over and say, do you have anything that can help you out of this hole? Can you cast anything that can get you out of here?
No.
I mean, you've been here for a long time. I assume you've thought about maybe accessing some of that power Brogo gives you to get you out of there.
He's shivering, you know what I mean? Because clearly his body is rejecting the fact that its leg is effectively dead but still attached, which is not really good for you. And he kind of looks at you and looks at you, and it takes a couple moments to process. Then his face kind of shifts to being offended, and he's like, "Are you saying Vroga turned his back?"
No, I'm asking if, Tu, who is also a cleric, you can cast. You have the ability to soften the stone.
No.
Okay then. Yeah, one's frustrated. He just wants to get the fuck out of this room. So there's been no progress made?
No, they've definitely chipped away at the stone and everything. The problem is, anytime they get to where it's weaker, which is where it's his leg, they can easily slip and hurt him instead of the wall because you're hitting stone with axes and stuff. Things that aren't designed for breaking stone.
I don't think I have anything to help. I don't think giving a healing potion is gonna help him in this situation.
No, and regeneration's a really high tier spell.
Yeah. He's gonna look at him and say, "You may lose your leg."
It looks down at it and looks back at you, and it's like, I think I already did.
All right, you ready?
He looks around for a second and says,
"How many hours has he been in there?"
Hours. He looks.
It's not. It won't be dead yet. Oh God.
He looks around and says, "You got something to drink?"
One will look over it too.
Two's like,
Let me look here. Oh. One shakes his head. What does Keith do? The drug Keith.
Keith? Oh, Keith's actually
It makes
might
you
work.
super strong. Give it to him.
Actually, hold on. There's multiple types of Keith, but basic Keith is, let's see, narcotic drug made from the plant's milk. It's illegal in most countries. It's legal price. Sorcerer of sleep. It's plus to strength, minus to illusions and minus to save against illusions and mind affecting. Let's see. It deepens their understanding of magic. Yeah, it's for spellcasters, but it like beefs up your strength, but makes you kind of like a little. Lucid means has so little dreamlike. Lucid is clarity. So what's the other word I'm looking for? The opposite of clarity, like foggy. You know.
One's gonna say, take this and try and force your way out. I'll get the orcs to pull you, and if it's not looking like we're making any progress, I'm gonna cut it off.
He looks
If you
at.
have to break your leg, if you have to break your leg in the process, break it.
He nods, and it's one of those things where he'll take the drug, which is I just try to remember because it's a milk, right? So it's literally like a little vial that he's gonna like do like a shot. It's gonna hit him in the brain. So
Give him some extra strength, and I'll get the orcs to assist him.
how many doses did you buy?
3.
You're gonna give him a triple dose?
No, I was just gonna give him 1. I mean, does the effect stack?
Not exactly.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
Okay.
So just 1.
Okay. So you're gonna give him a dose of it. He's gonna take it. He's gonna like throw it back, and you're gonna see like it takes a couple moments, and then it starts to like hit him. He gets a little like slow blinky and whatnot, as he seems to be a little the fog kind of starts to set in or whatever, and he seems to be a little distracted.
They all start chanting. They surround him. Baku, Baku.
Seems a little distracted.
A little distracted. All right, so I get the orcs to grab hold of him.
Yeah.
Kind of slap him in the face a little bit. I'm like, push your way through. I'll cast guidance on him.
Yep.
I'll see if I can. Do I get any reaction in the pupils or anything? Does he look at me? Does he hear me?
Yeah. It's one of those like you slap him, and it's like a moment later he's like, oh, hey, oh, pull, yeah. And so he's gonna like try to with his leg that is through. He's gonna try to like lift it up because kind of people like holding him and get ready to pull him. He's gonna put his leg that's not stuck like kind of like brace it on the wall to like push with, as he has his other leg being pulled, and he is on his side, and so on and so forth, and everybody's just trying to like heave all at once. I mean, clearly you're the strongest here out of them because you're the PC and strength based. So we're gonna have you lead the role on this one. So kind of you cast guidance on him, yourself, the situation, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm going to allow everybody aiding. I'm going to allow him to give you, with how he's doing it, a +2. I'm also going to allow the others to give you a +2, so there's a +4 right there. The guidance alone gives you 1 more. That's a 5. What I will say, I will throw this out there. If anybody wants to be nice to Vatku, you can give him aid if you want to drop that. Don't just let everybody do it at once, but you don't have to either. Sir, you're welcome to make a strength check to see whether or not you're going to be successful in this scenario. So again, you got a double aid going on against you, so it's 4, and guidance is going to make it a +5 total.
Alright, so +5 to this roll.
Okay. Okay. So that's a 24 total. Now you have a 24, it's a pretty friggin' solid result. Do you want to roll a luck die onto that? And the macro is working, so just make sure you click. Probably have to refresh. Refresh.
Okay.
The same to you, Neil. I think it's Control-Shift-R to do a hard refresh. Or at least it's Command-Shift-R to do a hard refresh of the Mac. So.
It's still not there.
It should be in the top. Don't forget to press the hamburger menu and click the box.
It's not down the bottom anymore.
It's roll luck in bar. You want to click? They're alphabetical, I think. No, they're not. So you just have to look for which one it is.
The hamburger menu. Okay, yeah.
Do you see it now?
There we go. Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
There we go.
So that gets you a 26 total, which is beautiful. So literally he braces his leg there. Everybody's getting ready, thinking you're going to have to chop it, so on and so forth. But then you grab the body and you start ripping. And it's one of those things where even though you hear it ripping, as you're pulling and whatnot, because it's caught kind of like by the upper thigh, as you're pulling, you even hear a bit of a snap that happens in the leg, like a loud, hard pop that happens. That's, I won't lie, very fucking concerning. But you rip and you pull at him, and you're actually able to rip and pull as hard as you can. This goes on for like a solid 30 seconds, and he's just like, you like literally ripping his leg through stone. And then finally you just pull him free, and he comes tumbling backwards and kind of like flops on top of you, and it's like, as he's clearly in a lot of fucking pain. But you did successfully pull him through. If there was ever a case of pins and needles, so you as soon as you like pull him through and you have him through, you can actually see, hey, it's dark out, through the hole on the other side. His whole lower leg, they had already actually, from the other side of the wall, they clearly were caring for this as well. They had already removed his armor, pant leg, boot, and everything that was there. They had actually lubed it up with oil, like fire oil, just because they're trying to get something that was going to be very, very slick to try to aid in the situation. So it was not like kerosene, because that would evaporate too quickly, but like oil, you know what I mean? Was kind of like soaked on his leg to pull him free. And the downside with that is that usually transfers heat too well and causes with the chilling, and would aid with it turning purple rather quickly. So you are able to get him free. It is clearly just like and in pain. What do you do, Jake?
Well, we don't want to just heal it straight away if the bones are broken, so I'm gonna have to do a heal check.
Sure. Roll heal for me to see the situation, so on and so forth. Yep. He is a cleric. He was from the Regicide game, Vince Axel. Okay, heal check. Actually, what you're able to learn is that, well, there's probably a break in his leg. May have been even a snap in the femur, which is very frightening. It's the largest bone in the body and one of the hardest to heal. Luckily, magics will actually aid in the healing of that much quicker in a world that has it, right? In a world. Yeah. But also, you've kind of like dislocated the patella and kind of like twisted the whole knee. Once again, potentially even like breaking the, what's that called there? Like the ACL, or tearing the ACL. But again, in a world with magic, it's actually not that terrible. It's something that can be healed over the course of, say, maybe a week or two with good magics and rest, versus like, well, you're down for 6 months. Here's surgery. So again, you think that he actually did okay. He's going to survive. He's going to be fine overall, because you have clerics and whatnot.
Yeah. He's going to turn to two and say, looks like he's going to keep the leg. Can you help him a little bit?
Two's like, no, sorry, that's Paco. He's like, yeah, I'll make sure this piece of shit stays alive. And he goes over to him, and it's one of those things where like he grabs and like slaps him in the face and says, "You did it! Good job, you piece of shit." So, and then he's gonna go over there and say like a quick little prayer over him and start trying to, on the outside of the wall, you actually have three had already poked her head through the wall and is kind of like resting her arms inside the wall, and she's looking through and says, "Are you done messing around in there? Are we ready to leave?"
Why would we leave? This is our city now.
Well, I meant you probably want to leave the room. Are you ready to knock down the wall?
Why did it take you? I was gonna say, why did it take you so long?
I figured you liked him. I go to cut the leg off a few hours ago. If I didn't think so.
Just nods and he's like, "Let's get this moving."
She nods and says, "Here, can you take these?" And like starts like hoisting some heavy like chains, it looks like, and throwing them through the wall. And you literally see like there's big bits of like iron, just like bars or whatever it is that she's kind of throwing through. It looks like a mess of different large iron objects that are connected to chains being tossed through the wall on this side. It's one of those things where you kind of go over and you pull it through or whatever, and you look through to see what's going on. And she actually has these chains hooked up to the back of a broken down wagon. So it's like the front half of the wagon, not the back half. So it's all like harnessed together to a couple of horses that are there. And you're like, I see what she's doing. And so they're getting ready to try to like rip open this wall to rip down some of the brick that's there and in the way. And so after you guys spend a couple of minutes kind of getting it situated, and they pull it a little taut so you can get like some of the bits of metal like a higher, some of the bits of metal lower through this hole that they have to pass these things through. Eventually, you know, you have somebody goes over with a whip. It's just like, and the horse is like, and like start trying to run and get away. Now, obviously, they're being mean to the horses to get them to push really, really hard. They're really trying to spur them. So there's like, you know, cracking of whips against or whatever it is to like really get them pulling on this side. On that side, you have the different orcs like running and slamming their bodies against the wall as much as they can. You know, everybody's just like smashing at the wall, trying to break it as much as possible. And you start to see little bits of cracks or whatever happening in it. And then like they calm down the horses and push them back and calm them down enough, and it takes several minutes, and allow the chains to get a little bit of not tautness, what's the word, the opposite of tautness, like a little bit of looser slack, a little bit of slack inside there. And then like kind of all at once, this is once again, they spur the horses in a very mean way that causes them to like go really hard and hit like the wall all at once. So instead of like a full tug, and it just like smashes through.
Just break. They all just
they just
and that's it. So I was like, ooh, we've not done this before.
Yeah, we're having some IKEA meatballs tonight. So you guys are then all of a sudden they smash through the wall enough that it like breaks down a bunch of the bricks or whatever, and it's literally kind of have to clear the way as a bunch of brick and whatever comes down, or a bunch of the stone comes down. And then after like it clears and settles a bit, a couple of the orcs go over and just like smashing through a couple more of them, causing them to like break open a bit. There's a little bit of like a slide or like a few rocks fall, smashes up one of the orcs. Oh, he's injured. Pull him to the side, tend to him later on, sort of a thing. But the door opens up enough that everybody's going to be able to get through without even having to make an escape artist check, because, you know, you're good at those. But you're actually going to be able to kind of make your way in and out as you need to. When that happens, you know, I imagine you come out probably first.
Yeah.
You can walk out first.
I'd step through. And he'd take a deep breath in. And then continue on, and he'd walk over to 3, and he would say, "We need a rest. Have people watch the walls and keep some semblance of order. Well, not order, but make sure there's no troublemakers. Also, have somebody go and he'll describe where that gnome spellcaster in place was that they stayed at."
Wait. Describe that one more time. I didn't quite catch that. Sorry.
Do you remember where we stayed? And it was like a tavern operated by a gnome spellcaster when we stayed in Haude Gwenh.
There was a spellcaster in Haude Gwenh that one time that you were here before, but that was a long time ago.
No, he was a gnome proprietor of an inn.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I do recall that. Yes. So my apologies. Yep, you're gonna go there. Mm-hmm.
No, one will ask for someone to go there and see if he's around and maybe fetch him and bring him to Beltran's estate.
Okay. So you're gonna head to Beltran's estate. That's where you intend to relax, but you want somebody to bring that gnome to you. Understand? Do me a favor.
Also, a report about what's happened in the city while I've been in there.
Do me a favor though. While you're talking to what's her name? 3. Could you actually, like, you walk up to her, you have a conversation with her. Can you just roll me 2 will saves?
Good thing I've got people around me, right? 2's next to me.
Yeah, and well, 3's in front of you as well.
Good. So that means I get extra stuff. So that's +2 and another +2.
You get roll twice. I said sorry. Okay.
There we go.
Cool. So a 26 and a 20.
No, it's a 28.
Oh, and a 27.
Yeah.
Cool. No
Yeah.
problem. So once again, you are. Let me just double check something really quickly. I'm so sorry. Boom, boom, boom. One more thing I just wanted to look at really quickly. Yeah. So sorry. It's one of those. Did you have a conversation with them? You don't notice anything, by the way. It's not like you feel anything happen to you or whatever it is. Could you actually just do that? 2 more will saves, and again, you still get your +4.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's wow, Jesus. So this is what you roll. Ready? A 28, a 27, a 26, and a 32 with a natty 20. So you walk up to 3 with 2 next to you, and you have this conversation. What it is, and 3's like, absolutely, I'll make sure that's taken care of. But is everything all right? You were stuck in there for a considerable period of time.
Everything's fine. There's one door we can't get through. We need magic to get through it. There's some magic that runs through the building. That's why 2 wasn't able to get us all the way in properly the first time. There's some strange altar of a god I am unfamiliar with in the lower levels, as well as a fire elemental. I spoke with it, however, it didn't. It said something about it guarding a bridge between planes, but that's out of my scope. That's more Valorant, Wherein, Elliot type of thing. So there's not really much that can be found out from that there.
I don't know. There are many gods that exist in Aurorum. It's probably something to one of the other ones. This god is it one we should be concerned about? Should we desecrate the altar?
I don't think so. I believe that the altar, or that there is a statue, and there may be possibly the key or the bridge between the planes. I don't want to mess around in things that we don't know yet.
It's probably the wise approach, isn't it? All right, well, I will have the gnome fetched and brought over to you. In the meanwhile, it seems as though the city has been taken. It seems as though we have won across the board. Any little upstarts that have happened while you were trapped in there have been resolved. I suppose we can claim victory here today. I don't know how long we intend to stay before we have other things that we need to handle, but Haude Gwenh has fallen. If there are any soldiers that remain somewhere out there in Adir, they have nowhere to return to.
Well done.
She says, I agree. Vroga would be quite happy with our approach, wouldn't he?
Yes, he would.
And she'll actually, kind of like turn, and then she looks back and says, hey, if we're done giving orders to one another, do you think perhaps tonight we can all relax and have a drink?
I think that would be good.
She nods and says,
we'll have Edric take command.
You have Edric take command? She nods and says, wonderful. Looking forward to it. And she gives like a kind of like a wry smile to the two of you, like, because you're old friends. And so you're like brother and sister, right? So, and then she's going to turn and go off. Head down to take care of a couple of things. 2 is also going to kind of like take over to watching over Vatku and whatnot. And then Edric obviously is there, and you literally can give Edric the commands. Edric, you're going to take over as soon as like we kind of settle in. You've got this now. Edric is once again tired because unfortunately the effects of what's the word I'm looking for? Lesser Restoration does put away exhaustion, but it's kind of like drinking coffee to stay awake. Sure, it technically works, but it doesn't actually 100% refresh your mind like you had slept. The idea of just casting Lesser Restoration on your character to never have to sleep doesn't really work. Your character still needs sleep. So he's probably fine for another day or so, especially if he's getting that like spell spike. But Edric probably needs some sort of collapse at some point. So you go back to the home. We've discussed it beforehand. You heard the description beforehand. Lavish, nice, blah 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 blah. Remove the people. You didn't kill all of them, right? Because they surrendered. There was no reason to kill the guards.
Yeah, no, they're tied up.
Yeah, and I imagine at this point in time, probably held in a garrison or prison or whatever it is, right? They don't necessarily have to be held here. Because just out of game, to be clear, you're not looking to like torture them or do anything mean because they surrendered. So I imagine like they have no value otherwise, right?
At the moment.
Okay. So still cliff note for them. Cool. Put a pin in it. So you go back to the house and you're able to relax a bit. Blah blah blah. Eventually, the gnome is going to come to speak with. Sorry, word is going to come that the gnome will speak with you, but he's not coming out this evening. He won't come out till the morning. It's kind of like the message that gets delivered to you from Edric, or actually Three herself will deliver the word when she comes. She says, I spoke to the gnome, and he's pretty held up inside of his inn, which it is itself kind of shut down. It's kind of interesting, that place. The door was locked, and he didn't want to let us in. We broke the door, and we didn't see an inn on the inside as you had described. Instead, it was a bit of a maze. Rather than dabble in arts that I do not understand, as we had discussed beforehand, I chose, we'll just leave it be. His request was that we speak with him in the morning, after he's had some time to see how the cards fall.
How annoying. Very well.
It's a gnome. Do you really expect any difference? Anything different?
He just nods, and yeah, then they will relax in the comfort of Beltran's home.
Okay, so you guys have a drink or whatever it is that night, and honestly, the three of you, it's nice. It's so nice to spend time with one another. You know what I mean? It's so relaxing and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I imagine there's nothing else that you guys need to do aside from rejoice or whatever, right? Talk about the victories, the battle, and blah, 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 blah. Let's move on. So the next morning, we flash forward to that. In the next morning, you're going to be able to kind of like wake up, morning piss, kind of get ready, and come out to the city. And almost immediately, you are met with, there are many things that need to be handled. Edric himself will come up to you. Again, he's now exhausted because he stayed up throughout the night kind of like handling a bunch of situations. You know that at this point, you're probably going to have to take over and let him rest. He's going to come up to you and speak to you inside Beltran's home. So when things are still like secure or whatever, when you're behind the walls. And he's going to come to you and speak to you and be like, so, I watched over things and I can say two things. One, the citizens here are happy that the council that was in charge before have officially been removed. They're happy about that. Two, it doesn't seem like they want anybody in charge right now, and so we had to use a little bit of bruteness to kind of keep them at bay for now, because wasn't sure quite what the plan was.
Good call. We should address them, as many of them as we can for now.
He nods and says, yeah, we actually kind of have a bit of a spot set up for you. Remember the marketplace? Kind of a defended spot, so on. We got a spot over there where we figured you can go and address them. Figure it's probably not a good spot to talk to them from inside this house, Looks bad.
You agree?
So
I agree.
He's gonna. He says we gotta have that set up for you now, and then there are a few people that wanted to speak to you afterwards, including that gnome that you were looking to talk to. We figure you can probably have that out inside the openness of that marketplace as well, unless you think otherwise. Just figure be a little open might not be a bad thing right now.
Yeah, that's fine. Get some rest here. It's quite comfortable.
He nods and says, I think I'll come with you just to make sure things don't go sideways while you're talking. And if things go well, then I'm gonna pass the fuck out.
Sounds good.
And so he's gonna, bring you over to the marketplace where you guys can smart pack and give you a speech.
Ah, well. One will step up to the thing or whatever, and I think I can use the Mama's Wrath to throw my voice.
It's not me talking,
not-
it's
not
him!
super far.
It's a random person in the crowd. It's like, what?
No, he gets up there and he's like, I know you might not be pleased about what happened, so I brought a friend to help explain it all. And out comes Puppet One. Hi guys.
Did you guys ever read Oots, Order of the Stick?
No.
Have you ever heard of it?
Nope.
So just like, I'm not even joking. After this, like, there's an app, Order of the Stick, or just like go to the website, like Giants in the Playground. But guys should seriously. There's like probably about 1,200 issues of the comic so far. It's really good if like you're on the shitter or like in a waiting room at a doctor's office or something like that. It's a really good read. It's very, very, very funny. It starts off with the transition of 3.0 to 3.5, but because the show it's been going on for so long, it also transitions to 4E and 5E. Has a lot of like meta and inside jokes. But one of the things is the bard inside it. I'm spoiling something, but whatever. It's lots of jokes involved. The bard inside the party actually has like a puppet that gets worshipped enough to become a god. So he literally has like a hand puppet god that he pulls out sometimes. And it's just this really, really, really funny thing. But I think your favorite character, Jake, would probably be the halfling, because he's like a chaotic, evil halfling a ranger. And he's probably the best character in the series for like comic. But then, there's characters that Norby would like as well. Like there's a samurai paladin and stuff that comes in later on. And, there's a little something for everybody. Anyways. Wholesome. Yeah, it's genuinely really good. But, so you go to give this speech, sir.
Yeah.
Norway says, I do like Greenhill.
Oh, Greenhill's a really good character. I love Greenhill. He's the intelligence-based fighter. You know what I mean? It's a really cool game. Thing. Durkin. Oh, poor Durkin. Let's not spoil anything. Poor Durkin.
So he just say,
It's almost like we're telling a storytelling game, Josh. Almost. Go ahead.
he just say, people of Haude Gwenh, I am one, chosen of the blade of Aurorum. We have dismantled your council and the leadership of the city. However, you still have an army that are led by Beltran Greyrest. We have freed your city and freed you as a people. We will hold the city, for if they return, it may just be more of the same. We need your help. We need you to work with us, man the walls, ensure you are to remain free. Till this war is done, Haude Gwenh will not be at peace. That's just what he says.
Okay. Now, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to say, Jake, roll me a diplomacy check. And you're going to say, hold on, Scott. You know I was saying this aggressively. I'm going to use my ability to use intimidation as diplomacy, which, by the way, I'm going to take a 10, which, by the way, equals a 20. Go fuck yourself. So we all know that that's going to happen. And then I'm going to go, grr. But what I also want you to roll is a loyalty check for me, please.
I will argue against the loyalty check because these are not our citizens. So
correct, but this goes more than it's more than about like you talking to them for them themselves. It's also about you pushing forward the agenda of your people, because what you're doing
Should it
is
not be a loyalty check made against Haude Gwenn's loyalty, DC?
We can't make a loyalty check.
Why can't you make a loyalty check?
Surely it should be made against
we've got plus
How's Gwen's
10 now.
DC though?
And the DC, yeah.
And with their modifiers, and if they fail, it's a success for Jake.
No, I think it's your modifier against their DC is appropriate.
But we want them to fail against their DC because we want them to fail.
No. I make my own check. No, I make my own check. He's rolling for how you're pushing forward your own nation. Your intimidation diplomacy thing is for the people, but then it's like the overall tone. This is like a meta thing. So I want you to roll
so
that.
it's plus 10?
I actually want to make sure that this is up to date. So the unrest and whatnot hasn't fully settled in for what happened to the north because we haven't gotten there. Loyalty is there. I think, yeah, it's the plus 10 total. I'm just making sure because, yeah, it's the plus 10. It's a whopping plus 10 against a DC 30 for your own DC. But yeah, you can roll.
I have no luck, so whatever this is what it is.
Or do you?
12.
Well, that's on par. All right, perfect. Thank you so much. I'm going to do my own. It's funny enough, I rolled 7 times what you did for my base number, and then I have a worse modifier. But that's okay. So they roll. They, again, roll me a diplomacy check.
Like a diplomacy?
Yeah.
Alright, so I can't use that skill then.
Read the phrasing of that skill for me really quickly. Or bloop in chat for me.
Where is that?
Which video? Vensexel, while we're waiting.
Is that it? Instant friendship?
Instant friendship. Once per day, you can treat an intimidate roll to improve a creature's attitude toward you as if you would use a creature. A creature. Roll me a real diplomacy check, sir.
Alright.
I hope you roll well, by the way.
Nope.
Would you like to try to luck that, sir?
If I have luck. I don't know if I have it or not. I think it says 0 left.
By the way, I would say that it is appropriate. I would have allowed you to use guidance on this too because you were literally breaking chains. It is very appropriate for your faith. So.
Yeah, but is there any dice left? Because it says a 0 up there.
I'm sorry, did you say that? What did you say?
I'm just going to press it. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay, so with guidance, I truly believe would have been allowed to be used, and that your character would have done it before going up there, anyways. Mm-hmm. That is an 18 total. So it's one of those things where just double checking the skill one more time. I always forget. I should honestly just have I should have my actual DM screen in front of me. Pathfinder diplomacy. They're probably like a quick reference sheet. You know what I'm talking about? Do I still have a Pathfinder one? When I finally open my boxes, we'll see. So these people are, you took their city. So they're not hostile against you. They're certainly not helpful or friendly towards you. They're not hostile towards you. So the question is, are they between indifferent or unfriendly? So unfriendly is a DC 20 plus, indifferent is a DC 15 plus. Either way, you don't know exactly where they were sitting before, but what you do know is this. They seem to be listening to what it is that you're saying. Guard the walls, man them, so on and so forth. More or less, let's keep the city as yours. We're going to keep our army here, blah, 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 blah. No matter what, you don't know where that settled, but you do know that there is a bit of griping about the fact that you're saying like we're holding the city free for now, but you also know that they seem to be happy that you're telling them to guard their own city against outside influence, right? So things seem to go over all right. Anyways, after kind of like everything's said and done and things go well enough, Edric informs you he is going to go and pass the F out, so he's going to go do that. And 3 informs you that the gnome is finally here to speak with you.
Okay, we'll go and see the gnome.
What I was saying, Vensexel, is that's literally what my family sounds like. When I have to go to family like Christmas parties and stuff like that, they literally sound like that. If you ever wonder why I do not sound like that, it's because I intentionally lost my Bostonian accent because it's awful. So, anyways, what were you saying? You said that you're going to speak with him. So he comes up to you, and it's one of those things where as the gnome comes up to you, he's like, "Oh, I heard that we met before, but honestly, I didn't recognize the name. Now that I see you, I do recall. You did spend, I want to say, 2 nights in my hotel nearly a year ago, correct?"
I'd say that's about right.
What is it that you want?
Do you have the ability to contact people that are pretty far away?
He thinks for a moment. He says, "You're referring, I believe, to a sending spell."
Yes.
He shakes his head and says, "Unfortunately, that kind of magics is not the kind of magics that I spent my time learning in my youth."
Could there possibly be somewhere in the city where we could find maybe a scroll or something else that you would be able to cast?
I might be able to pull off a reading of a scroll like that if you have access to it. I do have to say though, I am from the Tule school of the academy.
Tule?
Tule. It's a school that focuses on enchantments and illusions. I focused on illusions in my youth.
I see. Do you think you'd be able to cast the scroll?
Well, that is an invocation. I might be able to do it. It's a bit powerful of spells. It happens to be a savant spell. I've only learned Adroit, but I might be able to pull it off. Hopefully, it won't fizzle or go poorly. Do you have access to such a scroll? Do you have a sending scroll?
I do not. However, this is a large city, and I dare say there are some people peddling those type of wares.
He nods and says, "There were such people peddling such types of wares, but when things went to war, the council took most of the things that had that kind of power. They all tried to take my inn as well. I made it very uncomfortable for them. They decided to give up, which is unusual for the council, but I think they had their attentions lost elsewhere."
Well, we have the council's residences. Maybe they have taken them there. I'm not able to detect magic. I don't know if you can detect scrolls that way.
Oh, yeah, yes. I can actually. Basic neophyte training allows me to both detect magics and even read scrolls if I come across them. If you're asking me to search through the residences of the previous council members, I'd be willing to do so at a cost.
What's your price?
I keep a couple of things I find.
Comes out wearing +3 armor and a vorpal sword. Good day.
Possibly, depending on what you find. I was going to have the stuff that is in there hauled off back to Cursefall anyway, so provided it isn't something that I find too important, I'm sure we can work something out. You'll definitely be able to take some things. Just what you want to take.
I'll be a little clear. Things that I'm looking to take are going to be things that enhance the quality of my business, as opposed to something that maybe, somebody of your specialties would find interest in.
Okay, what would that be?
War, I imagine. I'm not looking for anything that maims and kills.
Enhance your business.
He's looking for a magical vibrator.
Should I change my background again? So he says, no. Perhaps things that provide comforts and or flavors or entertainment. please, again, I have no use of arms, armor, or blasts of fire. These don't interest me. Things that would help you with your murder and mayhem, you can keep that all to yourself.
I enjoy comfort too. Thank you. I have a very nice rug in my room back at home. So.
Indeed.
Are you hitting on this gnome?
No, I'm defending myself. Yeah, so let's go up and figure it.
So when you agree to that, he says, "Good," and then you see actually he kind of like fades away and comes back into view about 4 feet to the side of where he was standing before, as you realize that he had a bit of a misdirect or some other type of spell up that allowed him to stand adjacent to where it was he was actually standing. Do me a favor, roll me an actual Arcana. Do you have knowledge Arcana at all? Never mind. Just don't roll me anything because you would have no idea what this is. So, so you...
Do you not get a perception check to notice that kind of stuff?
Things like that, if you're actually interacting with it with any degree, like for instance, you were engaged in combat and things seemed a bit off, then yes, but otherwise, no. And just out of game, it's like what a Displacer Beast does. A Displacer Beast looks like it's prowling and crouching to attack you from like maybe the side, but it's actually directly in front of you, sort of a thing. So anyways, he comes, he like steps up to you and says, "I'm glad we come to terms." And you can actually see, whereas before he seemed poised and like a bit rigid or whatnot, you can actually see like his real expression. He's genuinely very like, "Oh, thank God." Like, he's much older than originally he appeared to be, because you didn't quite remember how he was before. Like, he originally appeared to be a bit more in his prime, but probably the tail end of his prime as a gnome. He now has a lot more gray to him, a bit more wrinkles to him, whatnot, and he seems to be a little bit more softer of a person than, again, the hardness you originally saw him to be. And he's like, "Oh, good. I'm glad we came to terms. All right. I'll follow you." And kind of walks with you to go and look throughout these houses. He's going to search throughout them. I'm not going to waste your time, but literally another day will pass as he's doing this, if you care to spend the hours that it takes for him to do this.
Well, I need to get a message out. I'm too far away to contact anyone, so that's something that's got to be happening. I'm holding the city for now. I don't know what else is going on, so...
Sure.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you're going to be able to discover, one of the things that you're going to be able to discover is that they don't have anything exactly what you were describing, the sending spell. But funny enough, you do find inside Beltran's home a very familiar looking coin, actually a few very familiar looking coins that were found near the beginning of the campaign by a particular person of a particular profession. They are little coins that have a bird on them that allow you to send messages a long distance.
Okay, I will send a message to Rayron. Do I need to know where he is, or just like...
You just need to know who he is, and the bird will know the way to go.
Alright, so I'll send a message to Rayron.
Now, mind you, this is not instantaneous, and he cannot respond. It's just a message, and it is still limited to 25 words or less.
Send a message to the coolest king in the kingdom.
So you send a message to Paradel.
Not a king or in the kingdom.
Okay, so he'll say, one will
We got the
send
derpy bird.
a message saying, he'll say, "Rayron, we have taken Haude Gwenh, and are holding the city. Let me know how you're doing, or if you have any other, or if you have any insight on what to do next."
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, that's like you said, 25 words or something. What can I say? We've taken the city. How, more or less, how are you going? What do we do?
Okay. Nope, that's perfectly fine. So you send, like you said, just more or less that basic message. And You send that basic message, and it goes to him or whatever. Cool. So you actually didn't just get one token. You actually got 3 of them, so you get to keep the other 2 if you would like. You can send the other one to Val as well, but you don't know where Val is. You at least knew where Wherein was going, so he'd probably be within the range of the spell. So would you try to send one to Val as well?
I probably wouldn't, because I can just kind of teleport back to our Kurzfall, and I just get an update for how they're going there, and before coming back to Haude Gwenh.
Gotcha. Okay. So you send that message to him, and then again that took many hours. This brings you once again back into the evening. Is there anything particular that you're trying to do this evening? Are you looking to leave the next morning? What's the plan?
Plan is to hold the city.
And you don't intend to leave at all?
I'll go back to Kurzfall
Okay.
to literally get a report, see how they're going.
Yep.
And then I'll come back and I'm gonna hold the capital.
Okay. Do you intend to do that this evening, or do you intend to do that maybe tomorrow after you stay here present one more night?
I'd probably go this evening.
Go this evening? Okay, not a problem. So you would leave the evening to head back to Kurzfall to see exactly, like you said, how they're doing. Let me just think of days for a second.
I think I've been here for 3 days.
I just got to think of timing.
Valorant wouldn't be here. However, I don't know if the Cthulhu or anyone would be there at that time. I'm not sure.
So you return back to Kurzfall, and when you return back there, I mean, you can see just kind of like walking throughout the kingdom or whatever. The place is not in a good place. It's kind of in a bit of a state of panic, if you will. The people have no army really to protect them. A very small militia. Inside the city, you are able to find Cthulhu is here. Because I don't know if you've heard about the falling of Rid yet. I don't think you have. So inside the city, you find Cthulhu, Landor, that's here. Yeah, Cthulhu and Landor are here, as well as a ton of refugees and other citizens, so on and so forth. Literally, when you come walking out of the chamber room, it's one of those things where you actually connect it, and it's like that whole portal connection thing happens, and then you're walking out the door to do so. You walk out the door, the thing kind of resets or whatever, and you kind of turn around and walk back into the room. You literally see Landor and Cthulhu inside there having a conversation with a nameless lieutenant. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where they're surprised to see you there. Not so surprised because they literally lifted the token to cause the rooms to connect, right?
Yep.
So they see you, and it's one of those things where Landor stands up and is like, hold on, I just gotta remember something really quickly. Chosen of the Blade, you certainly made a finally found your time to return.
Yes.
Well, perhaps you are aware of everything that's going on, or do you need to be filled in?
I'm aware that we took Haude Gwenh.
When you say that, you took a bit of this. You took a bit of the steam. You were just the British version of messy. That's all you are. You're just British messy. That's it. From now on, we're just gonna change his name to the British flag and the word messy.
I'm legitimately offended by that.
That's okay. You can be. You're Florida, man. Just so you know. So you actually take a bit of the steam from him, a bit of the wind from his sails, if you will. And so you when you say that, he goes, wait, in fact, you've taken Haude Gwenh?
Yes, we have taken Haude Gwenh.
Well, I suppose the good news is that they've lost the city as well. But we lost Rid.
What happened to the mercenary army and that Valorant led?
Kithel will respond. Kithel, of course, has his neutral tone like he always does. Again, he seems... Lander is out of character, but you don't really know him. He's kind of new. He seems like a little... but you don't right now know why at the moment. You get that for free because I know your sensitive is insane. Kithel says, unfortunately, they had disbanded.
Disbanded.
Indeed, they disbanded.
One would just like spit at the ground and you see like a snarl kind of form on his face. Word of chosen of the hearth.
Chosen of the hearth, rather than return here, thought it more wise to seek aid from the allies in the west. He heads to Leshev to see what guidance they can give to us. And in case you are curious, Elliot is not here either.
Elliot?
Elliot went to the south. He was equally upset by the disbanding of the army and thought perhaps it would be a good idea to go and have word with them.
Let's hope he doesn't get himself captured. Did he take anyone or he went alone?
He went alone. There are not many men-at-arms left. He figured each one would be best to defend our city.
He's not wrong, but it was I don't believe it was the wisest decision to go and meet with those who we've already paid, and they didn't even meet their own obligations. What we need to do then.
I will have to disagree with you a bit on that one. They fought, and they lost. They lost enough numbers to have decided that the amount of coin they were earning was not worth the battle they were facing. They staved them off. They put up a fight. They injured their army, but they were overtaken.
Then why has Elliot gone to seek them?
Elliot has a way with words, and from what he's heard of the Hetman, he believes that she is a woman that can be reasoned with. I think he was hoping to dazzle her with his tongue.
Okay,
Did not come out exactly how I expected it to.
So, what of the army that took Reed?
I'm sorry?
What of the army that took Reed?
They march forth.
To here?
I believe so. Would you like to know for a fact?
Yes.
Very well then. If you'll excuse me, I will go and find out immediately.
How are you doing that, Kithel?
I will speak to the stones and see what they echo.
Okay. Thank you.
He nods, and he'll actually go and he'll head down to like the landing outside of the main entrance to your castle. To like the top of the stairwell there, and he'll kind of like stands there and kind of like meditate a little bit to commune with the stone and see what he can learn. Leaving him behind with nameless NPC lieutenant and Landor de Bellum.
Landor, I believe if there is an army headed this way, and it is confirmed, you need to start evacuating our citizens to Haude Gwenh. The walled city.
The same command was actually given by Chosen of the Hearth as well, and we have started moving people to... Sorry. Sorry. To the keep to the west. We have, in fact, started doing that. there are a good number of people since Rid has fallen that are doing this. Do you think the reason why they chose to attack Rid again is because of the actions that were taken outside of Rid in the first combat?
No, I think we're at war and they're trying to take our town.
They didn't choose to simply attack Rid and move on. They chose to push on. They chose to be ruthless, relentless. I believe that first encounter they had with our armies outside of Rid, they met such an end themselves.
They did. They attacked or what they thought to be a defenseless town.
He shakes his head. So the plan is to evacuate.
Yes.
We're already doing that underway. However, we have seen that apparently if you're stressing the magics a little too much, they don't seem to... The connection seems to lose consistency. The bridge between one location and the other, if you're just hammering through it, using it over and over and over again, does not hold true. We're giving it some time to rest, which is probably the reason why you've been able to come here without any interruption. We're not currently connected to the other location. We have not moved forward that significant of a number, however. Perhaps 20% of the city's population prior to the introduction of all of Rid's inhabitants and refugees.
Well, if they're coming from the east, maybe our citizens should start going to Leshev.
So,
any that are able to travel.
So start marching them out to the western gates and heading to Leshev itself. I actually do agree with you that it's probably a good idea to continue moving people out of here as quickly as possible. However, if we do that, they'll see it. Undoubtedly, they're going to have scouts in the area. I think that your decision is a good one. I think that we should move people out of here. However, I would be a poor advisor if I didn't give you my opinion that I would also signal to them that we don't necessarily believe that we can hold the city.
That is a good point. We cannot lose the capital. We will keep them here and give the magics time to rest. We'll do as much as we can. Valorant, where is Valorant again?
He head to Leshev.
Hopefully he can remind them of their duties. We are in an alliance with them and they have not provided any form of troops. Hopefully they can send somebody to assist us.
He says, I did not see the Chosen of the Hearth. He did not stop in Kurzfall on his trek to the west. So I got no direct word from him beyond that he is heading west to Leshev to ask for guidance or to ask for aid. He did take with him, however, Arthur, knowing that Arthur would be able, perhaps be able to sway the people a bit more.
Well, I think they should honor their agreement. We are in an alliance. Whether or not they do, I don't know, but that is our best chance at the moment.
I think that was everybody's
I have 100 orcs in Haude Gwenh, but that won't be enough to take on that army. We will fight. I don't know if we leave, the people of Haude Gwenh we may not hold the city when we return.
Since Haude Gwenh has fallen, shall I inform our guest?
Lady Gregoris.
Nods.
Don't tell us shit. What do we need to tell her anything?
Doesn't respond.
One looks at him waiting for a response.
He doesn't. If you are awkwardly waiting for a response, he just does not respond. Feel free to say something if you like, but he doesn't respond.
Do you want me to roll sense motive on you?
You can. Yes.
I mean, I will.
Yes.
Figure out where he's at. Because I asked him a question and he's not answering me.
Even though you rolled 91, it's still a 16. It's one of those things where you get the impression that he's just informing you because he knows that others have interest in her future use or viability or whatever to the nation, and so it's kind of one of those like, well, I gotta say something because somebody might be interested. But he's not an idiot. He clearly knows that you'd rather have her dead. So he's like, I did my job.
Yeah,
I did my job.
Now, one will actually go and talk to her.
Okay.
Yeah, while he's waiting for Cthulhu.
Cool. So you are going to be able to make your way down to the dungeons, and you can go speak to her. So when you go down there, and you know she still has her books and whatnot that are about there, and you open the gate, and she says, I am surprised to see you're the visitor today.
Yes, well, I'm surprised as well that you're still breathing, but hey.
And my son?
I've come to inform you, I don't know about your son. We'll see. Come to inform you that we have taken Haude Gwenh and your estate.
She nods and says, says nothing.
He turns and he leaves. On the way out, he will say to the guards, whatever guards are there, he will tell them if the city is sieged and the castle is breached, she is to be killed.
Okay. Do you say that audible enough that she can hear it?
He's not trying to let her hear it, but he's not hiding his voice. He's just speaking to the guards.
Okay. So you. Okay, so she. Yep, that's fine. Exactly that. So she probably hears it, and honestly, it's not much of a surprise, anyways. When you make your way back to upstairs or whatever it is, you can actually see that their Kithel is there back waiting for you.
I will talk to Cthulhu then.
So when you go to speak to Kithel, he says, I had an opportunity to commune with the stones, and I can tell you their army makes their way through the forest. It will not be long before they're here.
How long?
If they chose to be, they'd be here in a day's time. But it seems like they've set up camp. I do not know if they intend to attack tomorrow, the day after, or sometime after that.
Make the appropriate defenses. We must not let the capital fall.
Nuts. When you make your way back upstairs, back inside, because you bumped into him in the throne room, as you make your way back upstairs to whether it be to your bedroom or to go use the teleport or whatever it is, you actually see that what's his name there, Lander, who once again seems a bit, I don't want to say gruff, but seems a bit off with you. He actually comes out and says, "Chosen. Word, please."
What's his name again?
Lander de Bellin.
Lander. I haven't really had much to do with Lander at all, I don't think.
Nope, and just so you know, just as a reminder, his position is counselor, which means his mentality is to speak the will of the people to the chosen, and to hopefully be the bridge between the will of the chosen to the people. Middle management.
Yeah, what's up?
We've just received word from the west.
Yes.
I think perhaps it's best if you come and handle this yourself. It seems as though an army has found its way to the, the door. Sorry, me losing words. It seems as though an army has found its way to the doorstep of our other keep.
Of our other keep.
Correct.
Okay. Can you give me a bit more information on, about what I'm walking into?
Unfortunately, I do not have very much information. I've literally just received word that apparently is an army waving at a Maltese flag that is outside the doorstep of our other keep.
Do they lay siege, or you don't know?
I do not know.
Okay, I'll deal with it.
The word came here that they are arriving there. I do not know what happened since they've arrived. But we can get there immediately if you are so prepared.
I wish to visit the shrine quickly, and then we'll make our way there.
You wish to leave the castle first?
Yes, I must visit Brogar's shrine.
Of course. And he waits right outside the teleporter door for you to leave the castle and head down there. I imagine you make your way as quickly as you can. You know, you walk with a New York pace to get down there across town and all the way over to Vroga's shrine.
Yeah. So I just enter Brogar's shrine. Mm-hmm. Is there anyone in there?
Typical parishioners that are, asking Froga for strength in the upcoming fight, or for the might to break the chains of Haude Gwenh, or things like that.
Okay. He'll just approach the altar, and he'll put his axe on the altar, holding it, and he'll just say in Orcish, through your will, we have taken Haude Gwenh, and through your will, we'll defend this city. May your faith spread all throughout Adir, and may we fight and die under your banner for the battles to come. And then he'll just cast bless or something.
Okay. What does your roll me a religion check?
Nice. We all know how my religion checks go.
What's a red lichen check?
A religion check. Typical.
Yep. Four.
So you do that. You head back all the way to the thing. You can see that, of course, Lander is there. Kithel is there. Kithel says, "I will accompany you if you so please. However, I have made it my responsibility. Sorry, it has been made my responsibility to defend the people of Amolta. So, of Valorant.
Yay!
To defend the people of Valorant for some time."
Chloe's asleep after a night. Oops.
Oh, she's had a night, has she?
She's probably displeased.
Yeah. Are you in? Is this your bedroom?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I live in a small house. So
Yeah. Well, the next room. Yeah, I gotcha. My wife's bed. Sorry, my wife's bed. When my wife sleeps when I stream at night, her head is like directly above where I am. I'm like, I still have to soundproof that spot to make things a little easier for her. So, anyways, so yeah, he said, shit. What was I saying? Sorry. I've made it more or less I've made it my responsibility to defend these people of Rid. The people of Rid are still here. I request staying here so I can continue to do my responsibility.
I think that would be a good idea.
Lander also says, "I don't know if I have any value traveling with you. I would also stay here as well."
He'll just nod and say, "Thank you both."
And say, "I don't know whether you have any value as well, Lander." Clap him on the shoulder and leave.
How many times do I have to keep muting him? So anyways, I'm going to turn it on so you can't unmute yourself. Only I can unmute you. So I'm just kidding, Messi. So you are going to go to the teleporter room, lift the thing. Somebody on the other side is going to lift it, of course, and you open the door, and once again you smell that like nice, fresh, cool mountain air, so on and so forth. But once again, this keep seems a bit off. First of all, there's more people than there were before. Second of all, there are fires that are lit so a bit of like a burning wood kind of smells as they try to keep themselves warm. You hear chattering of people, but also as you come walking through this hallway into the big open room that we had discussed forever ago, that eventually leads out to the room that leads to the balcony, that kind of like 3-room area, and the balcony itself. You see there are citizens of Valorant that are out here. Just trying to stay warm and stay comfortable, trying to set up their own little like refugee kind of area. You almost imagine it's like the Ishmael people in the sewers of Full Metal Alchemist up here in this area. So, but the whole while, there's also that one door, we know what door it is, that has 6 guards standing in front of it at any point in time. And so they're standing in front of that door. As you walk past them, they give you the appropriate salute. As the people see you, they look surprised to see you. You can see that some people kind of come up to you asking for answers, asking for guidance, asking for this, that, or the other thing. Do you say or do anything with them, or do you just kind of like ignore them and keep walking? What's your approach?
He would simply state that, once again, we have taken their capital. Haude Gwenh belongs to us.
Do me a favor, as you kind of like say that, roll me a diplomacy check. As it's almost like a rallying thing. Unfortunately, taking their capital means nothing if they themselves are going to lose their capital. 2 wrongs don't make a right. But 3 lefts do.
We will just move capitals. It's fine.
Oh yeah, there you go. We're a nomadic people, so you try to share the news with them, but unfortunately, it just doesn't go well. When you finally go out to the balcony, one of the things that you see outside the balcony is there is in fact an army standing outside there, an army of looks like about 100 soldiers standing out there with in fact an Maltese flag.
Okay. I'd ask for a report.
From whatever lieutenant happens to be in the area, and they say, "Well chosen. We just sent that message very recently. Honestly, I'm pretty surprised to have such a response from you yourself. We sent the message about 2 hours ago. As we noticed them. About 5 hours ago, as we noticed them crossing the clearing of the canyon. The valley, heading over here. They settled down there, and we sent down word to see what the plan was, and they said they're looking to speak. They did explicitly ask to speak to wherein, but chosen of the quill. Unfortunately, however, you're the one that arrived. But I'm sure they'd be happy to speak with you as well.
Well, they'll have to. The chosen of the quill is indisposed at the moment. Fetch them.
You would like me to have their commander come up here?
Yeah.
No, it's a bit of a walk. I'm sure it'll at least tucker him out, he says, trying to make a joke. It's not a good one. And then
one would give a polite chuckle anyway.
Oh, one has grown as a character. +1 character growth XP. So
one appreciates humor. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. No, it's fine. Your character growth means that your character will level up about 2 minutes before the other PCs. So you he goes down, fetches the guy, brings them back up. The person that's actually brought up before you is a human commander that comes, and as he comes walking in, you can see that he's straight-backed, straight-shouldered, and seems like calm and patient. Looks about the keep, kind of like as he's walking in. He doesn't just like walk up and walk to you like it's very much like he's taking his time with his step and taking in kind of like the surroundings of the area. Do you meet him in the balcony, the room before that has the nest, the room before that has the people?
I'd meet him at the front of the keep, like at the gate, like the door of the keep.
Oh, so you're going all the way downstairs?
Yep.
Oh, so never mind. That changes everything. So you're going all the way downstairs with him. That he doesn't have to do that long walk up. So he just comes before his army, and as he approaches, he'll kind of like look up at the keep, looking around at it, and then finally settles his eyes upon you as he like finishes the approach to you, and will extend his hand. Excuse me. And extend his hand and say, "Oops, sorry. Magister Heathguard, to whom do I have the pleasure of speaking? Since you are clearly not wherein."
Chosen of the blade. You may call me one.
He nods, and says, "You may call me Heath."
What can I do for you, Heath?
Well, it seems as though I have a bit of a favor to ask. I'm going to use the word nation, though I think it's more appropriately called a city-state of Valoran.
Currently, we're working on changing that.
He nods. I don't know if you're aware of the Maltese situation, but we have a bit of a war going on ourselves. Because of this war, we constantly have to ask our citizens to become soldiers. And fortunately for us, many of those soldiers choose to engage in combats. They learn many different arts of war. One of these arts is to intermix the ability to use magics as well as a blade, spear, or pike as they see fit, whatever feels most comfortable in their hands. Then they have to test their mettle against the greatest warriors of Paradel, mixed with the magics of Eustace. It's an unfortunate situation we find ourselves in. However, if we were to test our mettle against them without the appropriate training, then our soldiers would simply fall. They would simply die. So we've recently picked up the habit of training our soldiers in live combat against lesser foes. Now, it seems as though we do have a bit of a connection. You have a deserter. Somebody that we easily could label that and have him dragged back and brought to justice. Instead,
You could try and drag him back.
With all due respect, if we chose to take choose to pick a fight with your nation, I have a very strong feeling that you would fall, and quickly. But I'm not here as a pissing contest or to show strength. What I'm saying is, we'd like to levy this situation for one that can grow for a more beneficial one. We'd rather use your nation as a bit of a testing grounds for our soldiers. We want them to fight on your behalf. We want them to fight your lesser foe, so we know that they're going to be best prepared against our foe. I understand there's a bit of a condescension in this request. Please don't take offense to it. My queen does not mean to offend.
If you wish to fight, there is no ill will from me.
Well, then I guess what I mean to say is, we put forward before you apprentices, an army of 100 Gish. Will you take them?
Yes.
Where is the battlefield that's best seen fought? I imagine this is not it, though this is where our soothsayers were able to track, what's his name? Wherein to.
No, the battle that you will be having is in our capital. We can transport you there.
He says, very well then. My men have trekked through enough mountains. They're willing to trek through more. I do have to say...
No need to trek. Just follow me upstairs. It may take a day, but you'll all be through.
He doesn't question it. He says, where is Wherein? Where is this deserter? I've never met him before. He has never served under me.
Stop calling him that. If you wish good relations between us, he is one of the leaders. You will not refer to him as a deserter.
Roll me an intimidation as diplomacy check, because I know that's what you're trying to do.
30.
Fuck you. So bad. When you say that, you're one time a day. No, when you say that, He does actually. It's one of those things where he was using it coolly, evenly. It was obviously an insult, but you can get the impression again that while he isn't intentionally being insulting, he's not trying to be overtly insulting in this. You know what I mean? He's not truly trying to be a dick, but it is clearly like he knows he's being a dick. Moving on. So he stops immediately in his tracks when you say that, and he says, "What title does wherein go by now?"
Chosen of the Quill.
Huh. At least he hasn't lost his he hasn't lost all markings of his upbringing. Chosen of the Quill it is. When will I have the opportunity to meet the Chosen of the Quill?
We're at war. He is assaulting down at the south. Hopefully he will return. However, I cannot say when. If any of you have the ability to speak with people at a distance, I could use it to talk to him right now.
He thinks and says, "I will speak with my soothsayer and see if they have the ability to reach out and communicate with him. I honestly am myself a Gish, so while I am also trained in the arts of combat, I am not a full-fledged mage. I do not know all the ins and outs of their magics. I'll have words spoken. In the meanwhile, why don't we transport ourselves to wherever it is that you're saying that we need to go to? I'll speak to my men." And he actually will extend his hand to shake yours again. It was a pleasure meeting you, Chosen of the Blade.
You too.
He turns back and starts, speaking to his men. But you can see that while he speaks to them in Tasian. Tasian is a more common tongue in Malta than Perrin is, though obviously are all trained in Perrin as well. It's kind of important that everybody speaks Perrin. Tasian is the common tongue over there. Same as in like Tasian Dale and so on and so forth. So he goes over there and speaks to them, and you can... Do you understand Tasian?
No.
Okay, so you just kind of hear him, speaking gibberish or whatever it is. And with that, and you bring them upstairs. Honestly, it's been like an hour and a half. What do you say we take a quick little break, and when we come back, we'll do what we got to do.
I speak Tasian.
I wonder why. All right, we'll be back.
I just speak Gnomish.